Oh man, here we go. Good afternoon, guys. Decided that I would record today and give you my thoughts here on the playoffs for today and tomorrow, and some future bets if you're inclined to do so. And then I'll give my thoughts here on the Ravens moving on from John Harbaugh, but it is what it is. Oh man, no more John Harbaugh. The Ravens have made a decision. My thoughts at the end of the pod, but really after Tuesday afternoon, we'll know a lot more as Bashadi and DeCosta are set to speak. But let's start with the games today. And I'm going to start with Carolina getting 10.5 points against the Rams. It's just way too many points. I know Carolina is Carolina. I get it. It's up and down. If you look at the box score and their schedule throughout the whole year, it really has no rhythm to it. It's a lot of all over the place. These two teams did play. Carolina beat them. I liked Carolina that week. It was 31-28. It was a back and forth. It was, a lot of turnovers by Stafford. I think the game plan today for both teams is going to be to run the football, especially Carolina. I know they've had some success going deep down the field, and they'll take a couple chances, but they're not going to live with 10, 15-yard down and ins and long out route throws for Bryce Young. They're going to do a lot of screens. They're going to try to keep Stafford off the field. So I'm inclined to go under if you made me, but I think the Panthers might be able to score, and 45.5. So I took the under for the Rams total points instead. 28.5. I don't think that's a game plan for the Rams either. I'm not saying Stafford's going to be gun shy, but threw several interceptions, one for a pick six last time against the Panthers, and I just think it's going to be a lot of short rhythm, a lot of running the football. They're down their big guard, Dotson. So I just think the Rams aren't going to let Carolina wreck this game. They're going to play it tight. They're going to play conservative. So I'll take the points. I guess it would be shocking if the Panthers won this game. So I won't go that far. But yeah, I don't know. The way the Rams have been playing defense the past few weeks is not inspiring. They should get their act together. They should be able to stifle Carolina. So I got the game being like 20-9, 20-13, somewhere in that range. I think Carolina is going to struggle to score, but I don't think the Rams are necessarily going to get up and down the field. And that would be, it doesn't have to be that low of a scoring for the under to hit. So that's my thoughts on the first game. And second game tonight, I feel great about the Packers. I think this is a situation where the Packers couldn't have asked for a better matchup. I would not have liked Green Bay going to Philly. That would have been tough. This is perfect. The Packers, Bears know each other. Obviously the two games they played this year were as even could be. Both teams feel like they could have won both games. The main reason I'm going to take the Packers today is because I think Josh Jacobs is going to run all over the Bears. He hasn't basically played in a few weeks. Resting, the Packers didn't use him against the Ravens, didn't use him. I think he only had 4 carries against the Ravens and then didn't play at all last week. I think he gets the ball today. I think Jordan Love just exploits the Bears defense, and the Bears playing from behind. It's worked a bunch of times this year. I think it catches up to them. I'm big on the Packers defense playing with a chip on their shoulder this week without Micah Parsons. Probably catches up to them, if not the following week, by the time they get to the NFC Championship. But this is the week where I think the Bears just show some inexperience. I'll take the Packers. I think there's a reason they're favored. So my thoughts, I'll finish. Well, actually, no. Let's just go through the games tomorrow, and then I'll do future bets. So tomorrow, the Jaguars, my goodness. I'm just going to take the Jaguars tomorrow. I just think Buffalo is a bad matchup. I wanted to say that the Bills could make a run. It felt like this is the year for them. But this is just not the matchup they wanted at Jacksonville. I think everything Jacksonville does well offensively just exploits Buffalo. I think it's really that simple. But the Bills are going to have a really tough time stopping the run. I think the Jags have way too much momentum. Bills playing from behind scares me on the road against this Jaguars defense. If it was a shootout situation against a weaker defense, hate to say it, like the Ravens coming back on them, maybe. But I think the Jags pass rush gets to them. I wouldn't be shocked if this is the outcome afterwards where the Bills move on from either the coach or the GM or both. It's just not working, and they need to make some adjustments. I don't think they go on a magic carpet ride. I think the Jaguars win this game tomorrow. I got to stay away from the afternoon game. The Eagles 49ers game, the spread just keeps going up and up and up all the way to 6. The Eagles can convince me of anything at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if they won the Super Bowl again. And I wouldn't be surprised if Brock Purdy and the 49ers just win the game. I really don't know what to expect. The Niners look so helpless against Seattle that it's hard to get that out of your mind. It's a game I just want to watch and observe. I don't think the Niners can go on a run. I think the Niners could win this game, and then they would lose the following week. I guess it would be at Seattle unless the Packers win, and then they would go to the Rams most likely. So many different things can happen. But I think the Niners have maybe one game in them. The defense, especially. I think the defense going to Philly, if the Eagles just screw around and they just can't get going and they have a clunker of a first half and then they have to play from behind, maybe the Niners defense gets it together, but also maybe the Eagles just blow out the Niners. I think if you made me choose, I would take the Niners, but I will, I'm going to stay away from it. And then the night game, I think if I was the Patriots, I wish this was a 1:00 afternoon game because the Chargers are going to be able to, and Harbaugh is such a great coach. He's going to be able to really play this underdog role, going all the way across country, night game. Nobody believes in us, blah, 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 blah. And it works perfectly for the Chargers in this spot. The thing I'm tortured about is the Patriots are my pick to win the AFC. I think the Patriots get all the way to the Super Bowl. And if they were going to lose, this would be the week. I like their matchups in every other game. The first week, the Chargers, similar to the Packers, I don't think the Chargers, and similar to the Niners, I don't think they could go on a run. I think the defense is just too banged up, and then the offensive line is just not good enough. But for 1 week, I don't know. Drake May's first game, the 3.5. I think the best bet in this game would be to take the Chargers plus the 3.5. But I like the Patriots money line. I'm gonna think about it a little bit more, so I didn't put a bet out yet. By tomorrow night, I'll see if there's anything I really like in that. But I'm inclined to just take the Patriots for the AFC and leave this game alone. And then if I'm wrong about it, at least I got good value moving forward. And now I'll give you my future takes on the rest of the playoffs because the Steelers-Texans game on Monday, I still want time to think about how I think that game's going to go. And I don't know if either team's winning the AFC. I'm not saying it's an irrelevant game because obviously they'd be 2 games away, the winner. But the way I look at it is I got the Patriots. If they beat the Chargers, and I'm right about Jacksonville beating Buffalo, I really like the Patriots against Jacksonville. That's just a matchup that I'll take the Patriots all day. I think Jacksonville finally would lose that game. I think they have enough momentum. They're home. I'll give it to them. They'll beat the Bills. It's a good matchup for them. But against the Patriots, I don't like it at all for them. So that's why I like the Patriots there on that side of the bracket. And then on the other side of the bracket, whether it's the Texans or the Steelers, whoever would win that game, again, if I'm right about the Jags beating the Steelers, they would go, Jags beating the Bills, the Texans or Steelers would go to Denver. And that's a win-win-win situation for the Patriots, meaning if Denver wins that game, Patriots would go to Denver. I would take Patriots. And if the Texans or Steelers win that game, I would take the Patriots at home against the Texans or Steelers. And then if I'm wrong about the Jags-Bills game, which is probably the game I feel least confident about, and the Bills win that game, and then the Bills go to Denver, and then the Patriots would host the Steelers-Texans, it'd be the same thing. You know, the matchups, it would go in a different order, but I like New England all the way through in the AFC. That's where I would put my money. But the Chargers do scare me, especially in the first half. Drake might have to come back in order to win. And then the NFC, the way I look at it is I really like the Packers to win against the Bears. So if that's the situation, the Packers would go to Seattle. So start with that. The Packers beat Seattle, I think it was last year, and they just dominated them on Sunday Night Football. I can't get that game out of my mind. I really don't know there. I feel like if the Packers win that game against Seattle, I'll take whoever's on the other side of the bracket. So if the Packers get to the NFC Championship game, I don't think they get all the way to the Super Bowl. I just don't see that. But Seattle, I do think they could get to the Super Bowl. I think it could just be a simple situation where Seattle just gets 2 home games. McDonald draws it up. So I wouldn't be opposed to betting the Seahawks. But on the other side of the bracket, I can't see anybody getting there besides the Eagles. So I wonder if, God, I don't want it to be Patriots Eagles as I'm saying it, but I wonder if that's where the best value is, or if it's going to be Seahawks Patriots. I think it's going to be Seahawks Eagles in the NFC Championship game. So that's what I feel most comfortable about. And then if the Eagles slip up there, I'll take the Seahawks to beat whoever comes out of that other side. And then if I'm wrong about the Packers Bears game, I know if you're following me, God bless you. But if I'm wrong about the Packers Bears game, and then the Seahawks, the Bears would potentially be there waiting for the Seahawks in the NFC Championship game, I would love that for Seattle. I don't love it if Seattle ended up having to face the Rams, and that is a potential matchup if the Bears win. So if the Bears win today and the Rams win, it would be Rams at Seahawks, and the Bears would end up, and if the Eagles win. So there's a lot of variables that can happen. So I do like the Seahawks, except if they have to play the Rams. I don't love that matchup, but I'm inclined to take the Seahawks or the Eagles. That NFC Championship game is what I think it'll be, Eagles, Seahawks. And then on the AFC side, I think the AFC Championship game is going to be probably the Texans and the Patriots. But it wouldn't shock me if, Steelers or Denver get through there. I don't think it really matters because I like the Patriots. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on the AFC. And the NFC, I don't have – probably like most people, no one really thought the playoffs would turn out this way. So it's hard to have really strong convictions. But if the Patriots get through this first game, I just think they have the most well-rounded football team. I trust them. And same thing with Seattle on the other side. I think the Eagles have the high ceiling, but yeah. So, all right, let me take I don't want to be too long-winded here about Harbaugh, but to get it, get my thoughts out there and be done with it, is he had to be fired because the difference between the new coach for the Ravens and what John Harbaugh offered is we need, and I hope this doesn't come off like, being a jackass, but I don't know another word besides somebody smarter than him. I think where the Ravens are at right now is they're missing the leader who's the smartest guy in the room that can get us over the hump in in-game situations. The culture doesn't need to change. The structure of the team doesn't need to change. I don't want to overreact to the roster creation. And I want to find a coach that can win in the next 3 years. So I don't know exactly who that is, but the profile is somebody that we deem to be the smartest in the room. Whereas in 2007, going into 2008, when we were hiring Harbaugh, we needed a culture change. We needed a leader of men. We needed somebody to reorganize the locker room, to reinvigorate a team aspect. I think right now where we're at is we need a couple adjustments. God willing, Lamar, will adjust his contract so we can spend some money, make some tough decisions on the roster, retool it, and bring a coach in who is an expert offensive in-game coach, whether he's going to call the plays or not, whether he's 62 years old or 39 years old. I need to think that we have the smartest guy in the room, because where we're at right now is that we have a bunch of guys who are self-motivated because their legacies are on the line between Derrick Henry and Lamar. And then I look at Kyle Hamilton, I look at Roquan, I look at guys that have a couple more years of prime football with those four guys. I don't know exactly what the rest of the roster looks like. There's good pieces here. There's pieces that you could potentially move on. I haven't quite wrapped my head around everybody's contract situation and exactly who I think they need to move on from. But I think Flowers as the number one target is good enough for us to make a run. I think that if you bring in somebody who is able to adjust offensively, and then whoever's going to be the defensive coordinator, what's missing from the John Harbaugh era, and he's done a great job, like by all accounts. I don't think anybody could disagree with that. But he's not the smartest guy in the room. And that's almost the biggest thing that you need in game is somebody has to say, wait a second, can we switch up the strategy here? Because when you're blowing fourth quarter lead after fourth quarter lead after fourth quarter lead, it's like, well, there's not making an adjustment. So I think he works really hard all morning, all afternoon, all night, Monday through Saturday, game plan, motivation, organization, everything's in place. There's a lot to be learned from him. However, once we're in the middle of the game, excuse me, it's 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, and we need a big play or exactly what we should go to, I don't think Monken and Harbaugh are able to get us to the next level. So I commend Bisciotti for making the decision. It'll be really interesting who they bring in. It'd be interesting to listen to him on Tuesday, but had to be done. So alrighty, that's it for me. I figured I'd pop one Monday, talk about all the games that happened, and then go into a preview of the Steelers Texans. But yeah, just to recap for this afternoon, I'm going to go with the Panthers. I'm going to take the points there. I'm going to go under with the Rams bets. I'm going to take the Packers. I don't think the Bears are going to score very many points. So I got the under with the Bears. No props for me tonight. I will take the Jags to beat the Bills, and then I'll stay away from the Eagles game, and then I'll decide tomorrow night about the Patriots. But leaning towards just leaving it alone and taking the Patriots there for the AFC. So, already, good luck. Feel like asking me any questions, I'm open for it. So, feel free to send me a text, and I'll see you guys on Monday. All right, good luck.